Hi, welcome back to the Journey of Becoming podcast, where we have a desire to come alongside you on your journey as each of us are becoming like Christ. And I'm very excited that today I am joined not only by my daughter, Tori,
but not Lainey.
I shrunk a little.
Well, this is Diane Marsegan. She is our children's director here at the Tampa campus, but also oversees just directionally all campuses for kids ministry. And Diane, just tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've been at the Crossing for about 12 years, going on 13. I love children's ministry. I love being on staff. Been on staff 10 years this year. And it's really exciting. I love what I do here. It's, it's journey. God has us on this journey, and it's a beautiful time. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Excited.
And we're so excited because Diane will be graduating from the School of Supernatural Ministry here at the Crossing. So she will be
very soon.
Pastor Diane in just a few months. And we're so happy about that.
So excited.
Yeah, we are.
It's a good time.
So we're gathering together because at Becoming Conference just a few weeks ago, we opened the floor to you, our listeners and followers, to give us suggestions on topics to discuss on the podcast. And so today we're going to talk about some parenting comments that we got. Parenting was actually the number one recommended subject. Yeah. So we're coming to you today with just a few. We could never cover it all in one podcast.
Definitely
so
not.
We'll just start by saying we will do multiples. We will give you more because we can't cover it all today. But the thing that I tend to say over and over and over, and who knows, I may say it again Mother's Day this year, that what we want to say to you is that you will never be a perfect mother. I will never be a perfect mother. But you are the perfect mother for your children because God's given them to you. So it's certainly not about perfection, but it is God's plan for us. And so we do the best we can with what we have at any given moment. Yeah. And then we give it to the Jesus. We give it to Jesus. So we'll just jump right in. The first question that came in when Tori did kind of a Q&A thing on social was just parenting by age. So again, that is a much bigger subject than we could possibly cover in one podcast.
Because we could go age by age,
which we really, we potentially can do that in the future. I just don't think we can get to it today. So what I'll say about parenting is that we want to parent in a funnel. And that means when the children are small, their funnel, their options are very small. And then as they grow and mature, the funnel can get bigger where they have more choices, more options, and looser boundaries.
More trust.
But you have to start small. If you start your small children with the funnel upside down, where they get to do anything and everything they want, you're really setting yourself up for really significant frustration, failure, struggles for their future.
Even a little bit of confusion, probably, because you have to course correct and put in boundaries that you didn't have before.
Right, which is harder and more confusing for sure. So that's just kind of an overarching answer to stages. And so the next one, which is going to be a really good conversation, we didn't actually get a question. We just got the word spanking. And so it's also a very big category, but we think what you're asking to our wonderful sister out there who's asking this question is you're asking about discipline. And so let's talk about it.
Yeah. Do you want to read the scripture?
I do. Proverbs 13:24 says, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yep. Yes. Whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. I think
it's good.
It's a really
meaty.
It's a really big conversation. What I've noticed, especially like as a millennial parent, is I think there's been a bit of a pendulum swing, is what I like to call it, because the millennial generation, I did not experience this personally, but
what are you going to say? We'll see. Maybe you did and you're just being quiet.
The millennial generation I think probably experienced some really strict, heavy-handed parenting.
I agree.
And so I think what my generation of parents, and I'm actually 30 today. I'm on the happy birthday.
I told Xander last night, I said, Mommy is a real grown-up now.
Yes, but I'm not in my 20s. So funny. So what I think, because I'm on like the very bottom end of millennial. So millennial goes up to like
You're
40.
The oldest or the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest of the millennial.
1996 is the bare.
We're almost the youngest of the Gen Xers.
Yes.
Your dad and I.
So like right at the top of millennial, I think it's like 43, 44, 45 even. So that this group of parents, I think there's been a massive pendulum swing to the opposite side of what millennials experienced, which has presented itself in what they call gentle parenting. And so
I've heard that word. I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah. So I looked up the definition and I'll read it. Okay, let me read it and then I'll say what I need to say. Mm-hmm. Gentle parenting is a child rearing approach that emphasizes empathy, respect, understanding, and firm boundaries to foster a strong parent-child connection and emotional intelligence. Rather than using punishment or force, it is often associated with authoritative parenting and focused on teaching children self-discipline and problem-solving skills through guidance and natural consequences. I don't think the issue is the definition. I don't even
I think it's that people
definition.
don't know the definition. Because I had not heard that.
Exactly.
Right.
I thought gentle parenting meant do whatever you want, no boundaries, no guidelines. And, that's not what it means.
Yes. Right. And so that's not, the definition itself isn't bad.
Right.
I think it's the way that it's been interpreted.
Correct.
Because a lot of the gentle parenting that I see is you have a child screaming in the middle of a public space and the mom is, and this is not, if you've ever done this, please don't hear shame in
We've all done all the things.
Oh my gosh.
We've all made all the mistakes.
Yeah. But what gentle, right on.
I won't comment.
I'm going to keep that to myself. I think what we see in gentle parenting is a parent going, okay, it's time to stop, which there is space. So with the pendulum swing, I think that we should be in the middle. I don't think we should be what we experience, but I don't think we should be so soft that our kids run us over.
Right.
I think we have to find somewhere in the middle. And I think it's beautiful that scripture actually kind of helps us to find that. But again, another pendulum swing is people take this scripture out of context as well.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
So
We never,
No, say what you're going to say.
We spanked our children. And Diane, did you spank?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Tori,
And I also spank.
Yes. We actually had a really funny interaction. I was watching Tori's kids, my grandchildren, and something was coming up where I could tell one of the kids wanted to disobey what I was asking. And so just to be
clear,
see it in their eyes.
and
hear it. I could hear it. She was in her car seat behind me. I could hear it in her voice. And so I wanted to be clear that if a person chose this action, they would get a spank. And her son goes, Mimi spanks? So he knew
She sure does. Does she want to? Absolutely not. She doesn't want to be a spanking Mimi.
I don't want to spank my grandchildren. That is not
She wants to be fun Mimi.
That's right.
She wants to get candy.
Exactly.
Everything
I will say though, what we discovered in our parenting of 3 children who are all very different is that each one needed something different. So we did spank in all 3 cases, but it was still different. For Tori, we spanked with our hand, and she probably got spanked maybe 3 times in her whole life. And then all we had to do
is and said, I'm disappointed. And I would weep into a puddle.
I don't think I would say I'm disappointed. You read from my face.
Yes,
I was disappointed.
Right.
And you would, all I had to do was look at you and you were back in line. And then one of our children, spanking didn't work. That person received numerous spankings and it was ineffective to the point that
she started fighting back.
She what?
Started fighting back.
Well, no, that was your brother, actually. We found time out to be more effective with one. And because being kept from the fun that was happening over there was way more painful than a quick, slightly painful spanking. But then Zeke, I'll just say Zeke. There's no way. I tried spanking him with my hand. Well, he started hitting me back, and that's unacceptable. So we knew. I had read some new material. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And they recommend that you not spank with your hands because hands are meant for love. So then you can have an object for spankings, and we chose a glue stick. So yes, the things that melt in the glue gun.
Yeah, not a hard glue stick.
Exactly.
So they're flexible, but you do have to actually practice on yourself.
Yeah.
You can never spank with it when you're angry because it can either sting to make your point or it can make welts. And you do not want to make, we are not encouraging people to spare the rod, spoil the child by beating your children. We are not saying that at all. But what we found though is every child needs something different. And so you have to just be really intentional as a parent to figure out. You're not going to know right away. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to try different things, but you have to figure out what works best for your children, your family.
Yeah, I think the point about that scripture that I love is that the rod was used for two things.
Okay.
First, for correcting the sheep that wandered. So in our situation, it would be like, hey, that's a course correct.
Right.
Like, we don't act that way.
Right.
And for that reason, because I know what discipline I need to use with you, this is the consequence for your action. But it was, like it said, the rod might be thrown near a sheep, like thrown to like startle them and get them back on track, or used to gently like change their direction. But then the other thing that it's used for is to actually defend against predators, like to strike lions and bears and other predators. And I think that's a helpful way to look at the scripture, because it's not the power of the rod going, it's like, no, this is an instrument of protection.
Right.
Not just
That's a good way to look at it.
correction, but like,
I'm not just trying to make you do what I say.
Right.
I'm trying to train.
you. I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to train your mind on how to be an adult.
Right.
Like, we don't, one of the things I like to say is like, we're not teaching little kids, we are raising adults.
Correct.
That's what we're doing. We're training them in everything that we do.
We are.
Yeah.
Just like your mom said about course correction and the rod, the first thing I thought of was the look you gave her. And she's so sensitive, which is great.
That was all I needed. Right.
You saw it in her face that she was disappointed. And it was great because you course corrected, which I think that's awesome, because that's the first thing I thought of when she said, you know, by throwing the rod down, it's to course correct. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like it.
When we were chatting before we started recording, we talked about empty threats.
Right.
Will you talk about that for a second?
Oh, absolutely. Empty threats are probably the worst thing that you can do for a child.
Right.
If you threaten, you have to follow through, because later in life, as you're trying to protect them from something, they're going to think that you're not going to be there and support their decisions, but they need it. You need to follow through. I always followed through, even if it hurt me. I always followed through. I tried to do what I can to, if I gave them the word, like meeting in the bathroom, and you know, having a discussion, I always followed through. If I threatened, I did it. And you have to do that when you're raising kids. It's so important.
I get so stuck with because mine are little. And so I find myself going, you're going to get a spank. And then I'm like, I've said that 3 times. I have to give you a spank now because I said.
Because I said I have to keep my word, because that's our word that matters. I just thought of an example. So I think it's important. Like, I think of if a, you know, I don't know, 3, 4, 5-year-old, it has a plastic bat and they're hitting their sibling with it. And you tell them, stop hitting now.
Yeah, right.
And they don't stop. You don't just you don't just threaten that you're going to take it and not take it. You say, if you do that again, I'm going to take that toy. Then if they do it again, immediately you go, but you don't just angrily remove the toy and be disappointed with them that they didn't do what you said, because literally their brains are growing and developing. So what they need in that moment is, for the toy to be removed, because you're keeping your word that you said that's what was going to happen.
And your other child safe.
You're keeping your other child safe, but then you're going to take that moment to teach that child, in this family, we don't hurt each other.
Correct.
This is our safe place.
Yes.
This is where we belong. This is where we love each other.
This is not what your hands are made for.
Yeah, this is not
Exactly.
what we do. And so you don't do it in our family, and you also don't do it with other people outside our family.
Even if other people do it.
You use it as a teachable moment. Now, obviously, if this person is 3, not all of them have a vocabulary of a 6 or 8-year-old like my granddaughter. So you have to know.
She's a
Love
3-nager.
her. I love her.
I love that word.
Favorite.
A 3-nager.
She's a 3-nager.
So cute.
Sure.
So you do have to know your children and what they're capable of understanding and speaking in a language that they can understand at their level. But the point I'm trying to make is you want to take the time to explain. And I know it's so hard. Listen, I just want to validate parenting is so hard.
Yes.
It's hard. It takes so much energy. You're going to be at your most tired point at the day when they need the most attention for correction or direction or mentorship. It's a lot. But that's another reason with the funnel.
Right.
Having clear, like, children need boundaries. They need bedtime. They need routine.
Yes.
They need, like, every night at this time we get in the bathtub. Every time at this night we eat dinner. They need to know what's coming. They get used to it. They get in the rhythm. It does make it hard then if you have Wednesday night church. That throws off your routine for the week, different things. But they really do need that routine.
If you have your continuous structure in place, then you hit those moments
easier.
less.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
One of the things that we do with my daughter, it's funny because Xander, he was a little bit delayed when he was teeny tiny. And so we basically just had to distract him to stop him from making wrong choices. We just pick him up and move him to something else. And forget that he was doing something wrong and, move on. And so we really didn't experience having to
actually.
Hey girl, we cannot do this until my daughter, but she's so smart.
She is.
And so what I've seen from her, and I think this is probably where the misinterpretation of gentle parenting comes into play, is I see her emotional regulation happening, and I know that I can't really stop it with discipline.
Right.
And so what I have to do with her in those moments is I try not to make a big deal out of her crying or whatever. And I'm just like, hey girl, you're really worked up.
Right.
I'm going to give you a minute. Do you want me to help you or do you want some space?
Right.
When she is
Do you want me to stay with you?
Do you want me to help
being
you?
with you is good.
Yes.
Right.
And again, she's a little bit older. Her language is very developed. And so she knew. But never do I ever let her hurt herself, hurt me, hurt brother. It is only she's crying on the floor by herself in her home. And I'm like, okay, do you want my help or do you just need a minute to calm down? And sometimes she'll say, I just want to calm down.
Right.
I want to catch my breath.
Yes.
And then we'll come back. But other times she'll go, I need you to help me.
Right.
And so I actually hold her as she's crying and I push her hair out of her face and I look in her eyes and I say, I love you. Let's breathe. I love you. Let's calm down and then we're going to talk about this. Because most of the time when those large eruptions happen, it's about something so small.
Right.
And we can correct it. It's not something crazy, but it's because I've done a lot of those conversations with her.
Right.
It is all the time.
That's important. I feel like it's a case by case with your children and just having those moments of knowing what she needs versus what Xander needs and being patient and learning your child. I think too, the hustle and bustle of the world and both parents are having to work. It makes it difficult, but it's important because we are raising the next generation and it is important. I love what you said about having that conversation with their needing space. My grandson is the same way. He's very sensitive, which I love, love, love. He's the greatest, but we won't get into that. He's the best. But having those moments of getting on your knees is so important and looking them straight in the eye and just touching their face that you're looking at them and just saying, hey, what do you need? Do you want me to leave you alone? And having that space, which is great because I do that with him too. So I'm learning a lot too, because even though my kids are raised and adults, I'm learning a lot now with raising, being a part of his life, which is so good, because then I can bring that to children's ministry and have those discussions. And then too, with your children, I've been with them since they were born. I love them. They're such a special part of my heart. No one heard that earlier, that Thea was my favorite. So just disregard that. They're all my favorite, as you guys can tell. I love kids. So thank you for that, because that helps me too, knowing that I'm on the right track with him and spending that time. But every child is different, just like you talked about your 3.
Yeah.
You know, they are very different, and we need to take the time to learn our kids.
Yeah.
And we really do want to be a part of supporting you.
Yes.
That's part of, that's why we put so much effort into children's ministry at all 3 campuses.
Yes.
We have great resources.
We
the
do.
curriculum we use that you take home with you. There's video support. There's all kinds of things.
There is so much that we
can. Yes. And so, ask if you're not finding what you need on your own with what we've given you, ask, because that's why we're here. We are here to support you and encourage you and help you in your parenting.
Before you move on from that real quick, I started thinking about, you and Cruz, and how there's studies coming out now about how deeply impactful it is for children to have their grandchildren in their lives.
It's imperative.
And how,
Think about Bible times. That is how they grew up. It was always generations together.
Absolutely.
And
it wasn't just the one generation.
Yes. We have become so westernized that we have our own little family and we, whatever, that's not how, it was. But I was thinking it's so sweet and so cool for Cruz that he has you. And then I started thinking, well, I would be sad if I were a parent who didn't have my mom and my dad. But then you're in kids ministry. Like you are actually doing that with the kids that do come. Like, but we have to find it. We have to.
Well, I actually said that. I said that at Becoming Conference on Friday night. I said, if you are a young family that doesn't have your grandparents in the area, come get involved at church and let's find you some surrogate grandparents.
Yeah.
Right.
Or if you are a grandparent age and your kids and grandkids don't live near you, thank God for social media. For technology. Yes, thank God. But come be a surrogate to a family that needs that grandparent age and everything around.
Right.
It's so important.
Right. That's what's helped me too.
Yeah.
As being a grandparent is being called to kids ministry, because I never thought I was going to be a grandparent. My kids are older in age and taking their sweet time of getting up there. And I'm like, okay, when am I going to get married? When am I going to have a baby? Which is great because God fulfilled that. So I thought, I'm really not going to have any grandchildren. And God put me in children's ministry and changed my entire life.
And now you got all these grandbabies.
Now I have all these grandbabies and to love on, to be a part of, but we are here for you. Yes. We're here to help you. We're here to love you, and you love your kids. Get into a small group.
Yes.
We have so many small groups that have little ones. Actually, Tori's in one too. And it's so encouraging to know that we're here for you. Yeah. And that is so important, because then you have your community if you don't have your parents. And it helps because you can rely on each other, which is
imperative.
You
really do have to be in community, because you need that person more even than just calling your mom.
Right.
You need those friends that are in the same stage with you at the same time. If I didn't have my friends to call and go, okay, I have spanked 14 times today.
What do I do?
I am exhausted. But I can't give up now.
Right.
I have to finish this day strong.
Right.
And to have your friends that pray with you then, or go, I'm with you. You're doing the right thing. Don't give up. Keep going.
Yes.
We need community.
Right.
We need it so much.
Yes.
So much. Okay. This one, Miss Diane, I'm going to throw that. Are you ready for this pass?
Sure.
When you think about all of our kids in kids ministry.
Okay.
When is a good time to talk about where babies come from?
Oh, that's a good question. I get that a lot, by the way. I really do. I have a lot of moms that stop by and will ask, well, how do I handle this?
Yeah.
First of all, can I just say that us as a children's ministry, we don't answer that question.
Right.
Okay.
That's
so if your child comes in, whether it's pre-K or elementary, and they start asking those questions, we have a conversation with our parents. And in that, as we have those conversations, we tell them what they asked, because we never want to step over our parents. ever.
You are the priority.
That's right.
You are the first authority in their life.
That's right.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want somebody to speak to my child about that.
Yeah.
So I would say between the age, believe it or not, between the age of 3 and 5, what you do is you make sure that your children or your grandchildren know their body parts.
Yep.
Not names.
Scientific.
Yes. Not
actual names.
a flower, not a cookie. I'm just going to say they have to know what those parts are.
Yeah.
It's very important to establish that from the very beginning. So you do it gently.
Because that removes shame.
Correct.
When you use the correct names, then they're not finding out later, oh, I've been calling that the wrong thing. And then you're like, why did it have to have another name? Oh, I guess I should be embarrassed. I should be ashamed of this part of me because we don't say those words. But when it's just a part of your vocabulary, it's just what it is.
That's just science.
Right. And that's what happens is that shame comes in. So this is an ongoing conversation. It's not a sit down, one and done. It is gentle from 3 to 5. Make sure they know their body parts. So important. And then as they get older from 6 to 8, they start asking, where do babies come from? It's so important to be honest, but be gentle in it. They're not ready for what we talk about. They need it in a gentle form of where they come from, because of the fact that if they don't hear it from you, they're going to go to school and they're going to get a whole different answer. And it's not going to be an answer, I promise you, that you're going to want to hear.
Not even school, the internet.
Yes, the internet and all of those things. So it's so important to have it ongoing.
If you're giving your kids technology, please put parental controls.
Absolutely.
So that they can't just have access to everything.
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Yes,
Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you then.
No, you didn't. I agree with that. And that'll help keep down the social media part of it. But just have those sit downs. Don't rush. Don't rush through it, because that's not good either. You need to hear their heart. And I always ask my grandson, where did you hear that? It's so important. It's so important.
You're not going to remember this.
Oh, here we go.
Good heavens. All right.
Well, so I didn't know. I think it's a good idea to ask questions back.
Yes.
Because you think you know what they're asking, and you actually don't know what they're asking because you asked me. So I started to give you this pretty thorough explanation, and you just went,
that's not
I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, oh, okay, well then we'll talk about it another time.
Right.
Like we were able to just pass it off, but I didn't think or know to say, well, what do you mean? Do you mean that you've seen babies in a mommy's tummy, and how does the baby come out of the tummy? Or like to ask some questions about, because you really weren't asking how does perception take place.
You're like, well, let's get to the science of it.
That's why it's important to know where it came from, the source of it. And then you start asking so that know where it came from, just like you did with Tori, which was great.
Did you hear that?
Come to find out.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. And what do you mean? What do you want to know? And opening that conversation, but know that conversation is going to go through their lifetime. And you have to be careful what you share, but be honest in it, and every child is different. There's some children, kind of like, I keep using my grandson, like my grandson, he's at a different level. He's older than he really is. You know what I mean?
Just emotionally and intelligently.
Yeah. So I would say, and I wouldn't have that conversation with him as a grandparent.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I would refer back to his parents.
Right.
And if they're like, hey, you have permission to have that conversation with them too, that's a different story. But I always refer back, to the parents. They need to know, because I want to be respectful.
Right.
As a grandparent, you have kind of a line you don't want to cross.
Right.
And just be respectful of what they want from us as grandparents too. So
as grandparents, we don't want to parent them.
No.
We want to support what their parents are doing.
Yes,
we want to reinforce what's being taught by their parents.
Always. And that's another subject we can talk about later as well, because that's really opening up a door, which is what do you do as a grandparent? Where do you draw the line? And supporting, like you said, that's so important. Whether you agree with it or not, Pastor Tamara, you probably can speak into that as well. Is like, where do you say, okay, I don't agree with maybe what Tori's doing, but you're going to support it anyway. And that's very important to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And have that conversation on the side later.
Yeah.
Right.
Offline.
Now that you're an adult.
No, we just
Now that you're 30, finally an adult.
No, we just Tori's just such a great mom. And Trent's a really great dad.
They are.
We're, they're doing a great job.
And
they're
I can
raising
attest
really
to
good
that.
little kids. Yeah.
Yes.
I know, you get my kids all the time.
Cute little people.
As we were talking about science getting older, talking about things in layers.
And science created to God created the science.
That's true.
Just
Amen.
always giving God's the glory for it. Because he created our bodies.
Science proves God, not trying them,
Yes.
One of the things that I have been thinking about in my own journey of identity, in my, my breakout at conference, I talked about, hormones and body function and how we submit to the Lord and our identity with our body and what that looks like. And I'm thinking about my daughter getting older and at the point where she's going to start her period. I'm trying to think now of the language I want to use with her about a body function because I feel like there is a lot of shame. There's a lot of, and even I'm going to teach Xander, I'm going to be honest with him when it's appropriate, when he is, 11, 12, 13, be like, hey, if you see a girl with blood on her pants, you need to go help her. Something's happening in her body. It's just what happens. Like, you wake up and have to pee in the morning. Same thing. Like, can't help it.
Right.
Can't, like, it has to be done. It can't get past it. It has to be done.
That's right.
But just about speaking so that there's no shame.
Right.
And honestly, one of the things that the Lord has been telling me about myself is that I need to start thinking about my own body differently and to celebrate the cycle of hormones and to celebrate all of the things because that's how he made us. And so I think
that's good.
And because honestly, if we have shame about ourselves, it can transfer. It can be passed down to our children.
Absolutely.
And I think that the self-awareness, because if we have sexual shame, that can impact how we speak about where babies come from.
Absolutely.
And it's so hard to not, every time we hit these points, to not just stop and say, here at the crossing, we have freedom.
Right.
It's a home experience you do online at home at your own pace. Then we have an event that's a one-day event called Kairos.
Yes.
And then there's even a deeper, greater 3-day event called Release to Soar. And so we have ways to help you if you are carrying shame.
Right.
Because there's healthy shame and there's toxic shame.
Correct.
Healthy shame is actually a good thing. That's how we learn what's acceptable and not acceptable. If your child is walking around picking their nose in public all the time, they need to feel a little bit of healthy shame to understand that is what we do. That's not appropriate. We need to go to the bathroom and blow our nose. We don't walk around with our finger up our nose all the time. That's like healthy shame, but there's toxic shame. And if we carry toxic shame, that can be transferred to our children. And we here at The Crossing want to help you not carry toxic shame. So, another plug for all the ways that we can help you and join you. But we really do want to help you on your journey of becoming. That's why we're here.
Yes.
Okay. Next question was, how do we explain to around a 5-year-old how the blood of Jesus protects and heals us? And I'm wondering, again, I think it's about asking the questions of the child. So obviously they probably heard this at church.
Right.
So we might be using language that needs greater understanding, or they may have just picked up something somewhere, heard you pray over someone or something.
Even worship songs. Talk about the
worship songs.
Like, that could be a little confusing for kids. Yeah.
Do you have any wisdom then about how a parent can talk about these things, these concepts that are really deep for a young, undeveloped brain?
Right. Well, first of all, in that age group, if we're talking 3 to 5, everything we say, they take literal.
Yes.
So you have to be careful in how you approach it. And what works for me doesn't mean it works for everybody. But I see that these kids are very visual. And in that moment, I think of coming up with a visual little, I don't even know
like
what
a demonstration.
Thank you.
Kind of thing.
Lost my words.
Yeah, no,
okay. It happens to me all the time.
And just sit down with them and show them. So one thing I have learned with that age group in particular is having a bin of water and using like paints or something where they get their hands all dirty. And now that they're done, so they're like doing hand paintings. And then I'm like, okay, now we're ready. And I'm going to show you what it means. Again, questions, ask questions, because it might not mean, they're ready for that moment of learning about the blood. So taking the paint, putting it all on their hands and having like a little bucket and taking their hands and washing it. And then drying their hands and show them in that moment, in that water, that's what Jesus did for us. He's cleansing us. And that means to clean, because certain words like cleansing, they don't know what that means. You have to make it at their age level where they understand. See how your hands are really dirty? Yeah. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, now we're going to wash them. And that is what Jesus did for us. He's washing us. And you'll sometimes hear the blood. And I said, that's all it is he's cleansing us. And he is keeping us pure for the Lord and giving us a way to have that eternal life, because you have to be very specific with them. Because if you don't, that word washed in the blood, I've seen kids in elementary that literally got scared, and it was in a worship song. So it was funny that you said that, because they don't know what it means.
Blood on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the good thing, like I wouldn't want that, right?
Blood on me.
So there's other ways to demonstrate, especially elementary kids. And two, we've been able to sit down and explain with the parents' permission. That's another thing. We always ask the parents' permission. Are you okay with us explaining and getting deeper? So as they get older, you can get, deeper in that conversation with them too. Always want to ask our parents before we embark on that. And most of the time they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, then you can even do it together.
Right.
So the parents are there to support.
So it's a demonstration, especially for the little ones. And then elementary age, I would say that leads into a conversation, and it can be a visual as well. So there's many things that we can do to explain it. So that's what we try to do.
That's really
so helpful, though.
That's really good.
I'm thinking now about Xander asking me questions, and I would accidentally say something very misinterpreted to be literal, and he's like, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, man, I didn't mean that. Take that away. Take that away. That's not what I meant.
Yes.
Right.
That's a big thing for us for elementary. When we have different speakers that come in and speak, we always tell them, they're like, well, how do I handle this? What do I say? I hate to use the words because it sounds terrible, like dumb it down. You have to understand, simplify things. It's not dumbing it down, but it's like, you've got to be at their level. You've got to use the words that they understand. Because I've had speakers up there and I'm like, no, you don't say that. Or they're not going to understand. So then when they've done that, they backtrack and said, okay, you probably don't know what that word means. So let me explain. Like, you caught it. That was great. So they need to have that coaching on what does this mean? And what questions are you asking? Where did you hear this from?
What do you think first? It's so that you can help.
Yes, because you want to know what their thought is.
Yeah.
What are they thinking about it? Which is really important, of asking questions.
One thing that we've started to do this is probably bad. I don't really care. I don't like to read to the kids at night. I do not like it. I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
I get so sleepy reading kids' books. I'm like,
I need the lights off for you guys to go to bed. I'm tired. I need to be doing stuff right now. Like, I can't read. So what I've started to do is I found a great podcast for kids.
Yes.
Where the whole point of the podcast is called Tiny Theologians.
I saw it.
The whole point of the podcast is they talk about actually really deep theological things in the context of a story about these two kids, Tori and TJ. And so they go about their little town and one of the characters sings, and it's very like tailored to children. But I mean, they talked about the Trinity.
Awesome.
They talk about really deep things, but they make it a story so that the kids can kind of keep track with it. And so Xander will go, why did TJ do this? Or what about the story? What is that word again? And it's helpful for me to, number one, whether I'm deeply listening or not, to go, this is what you're hearing right now.
So you're connected with it.
So I'm connected with it. But it's a really...
What'd you call it? Tiny
Theologians.
And where do you find it?
It's like an Apple podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
technology wise, I'll be like, I don't know where to find it.
I just
it's great.
but I love that tool. I mean, and again, in picking those podcasts, because a lot of people will do that, you need to make sure that you're using your discernment.
Yeah.
You need to make sure it aligns with what you're being taught as well.
True.
And all goes down to everybody always asks when they ask questions about things. I'm like, well, what does the Bible say? Does it align with the Bible?
Right.
Absolutely. If it aligns with the Bible and using your discernment as a parent, then you can move forward with those podcasts, because not all of them are good.
Yeah.
They don't align with what the Bible says. But that's so good, because I did hear about that as well. There's also, if I can say anything into that, there is a pastor. His name is Scott Anderson. I repost a lot of his stuff.
Really?
Okay.
I love this man. He's amazing. He talks about parenting in this generation, how different it is than when we raised our children. So not only that, but also to the effect of marriage. And he talks about marriage. It's so beautiful. I've really enjoyed listening to this man, so I'll repost things. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. This one, I think we're running out of time. We're not going to get to.
I know. I'm so
but it gets so
sorry.
long. No, it's wonderful. I think everybody is loving it.
We just need to have more episodes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we had a question come in. I forgot how they stated it, but how do you explain to your child if you're not wanting them to watch something called K-pop Demon Hunters? I had to actually Google what that was because I didn't know what it was. So instead of speaking specifically to the K-pop Demon Hunters, let's just make a statement, a general statement that what your children are watching, you need to know what they're watching. You need to vet in advance. And if you've chosen for your children to watch that, we're not here to judge that.
No.
I don't know anything about that show. The point, though, is you need to know what they're seeing, what they're watching. Right. And when they are pushing back, like, well, why can't I? All my friends do. I mean, Tori went through this a lot.
I sure did. And I hated missing out.
Oh, man.
Like, why can I not do everything that my friends are doing?
And so the way we explained it was, mom and dad's job is to protect you and to make decisions for you and to guard your heart. Proverbs 14:27 says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. When a child is little, they don't have the wisdom, the discernment, the ability,
the emotional intelligence,
the brain development to be able to set boundaries for themselves. And so we said, until you're old enough and mature enough to set boundaries for yourself, it is our job to guard your heart. Right. And then your job is to trust us. It doesn't mean you always have to agree with us. You're not going to like all the decisions that we make, but you trusting and knowing that we can see more than you can see. We know more than you know. And this is the decision we're making. And then you being able to say, we trust you. And it's a process. I promise it's a process. It doesn't just happen in
conversations.
Right.
A lot of patience. Yeah. Right.
And knowing your mom, it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean it makes it any easier when you're going through it and you see that your friends are doing it.
Thank God.
Yes.
Right? Thank the Lord. One of the things I remember that was sleepovers. My friends had sleepovers all the time. And mom was like, I know you don't understand, but you are under our protection and you will not be spending the night at anyone's house that has a man in there. At all. And
no brothers, cousins, dads, nobody.
We were very, and I literally didn't understand, but now that I'm an adult, and I know, oh my word, there are so many terrible things happen.
I mean, and we had good friends though that were willing to send their son to stay the night somewhere else so that there weren't, you know what I mean? Like,
so good.
Because we had good community.
I hope my kids aren't listening to this. They weren't allowed ever to spend the night. If you want your friends to
stay at our house a lot.
But they weren't ever allowed. So they didn't do anything until they turned 18. They didn't drive. They didn't do anything until they were 18. And they felt like they were missing out on a lot. But now, like Tori, they're coming back and saying, Mom, thank you for protecting us. Really and truly, especially what's going on in the world. And it's so, kind of in your face now. Everywhere. So they're thankful.
And again, it kind of goes back to that funnel.
Yes.
Like, the kids are going to push back. They're not going to like the boundaries that you've set. The fact that you're only this far up. You're only right here in the funnel. You don't get to do everything that's up here in the big funnel. You get to be here. And it's hard because we want to keep our kids happy. We always want to give them what they want, but we have to decide how we're going to structure things for them.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Okay. We really are running out of time. So I'm just going to give a couple blanket things. Blended families was one of the subjects that came in. And so we just want to say, we want to validate that being a blended family is really hard. And we will talk about it again on another podcast because there's a lot to talk about in a blended family. And so we just want to validate the fact that it's really hard and we want to be present with you and help you as much as we can. Same thing about empty nesters. Yes. We didn't get to talk about that yet today. And it's a big deal. It's a big adjustment and learning how to lean into the Lord, to receive what we need, to figure out what it means to live now without this response. I mean, I find myself being like, how did I used to do all the things? How do I take care of 3 children and do all the running around that we did? And I don't know how I did it, but it was very cool. So I think we'll just wrap up by saying, did you have something on your mind to say?
Oh, no. I was going to ask if Diane had anything about empty nesters.
It is hard. Like Pastor Tamara said, it's hard for all of us. But I think, too, we have so many opportunities here at our church that they could come and get that empty nest fulfilled like I did with children's ministry. It does help to stay busy. That's important too. It's an adjustment of now who am I? Because you start feeling like I'm not a mother. And you are a mother. That will never change. I still call my kids my babies, which I'm allowed to do that. They are my babies. But in that, your relationship evolves with them as well. But you raise them right, just like we talk about, biblically and just the way that the Bible is saying to raise them up. I will tell you this, they will be so honoring and loving that they'll call you more than you want them to because they're trying to make sure that mom's okay. So it's an adjustment and we could have a whole podcast on that. So there's a lot but Pastor Tamara, you touched on that. So thank you for that because that is right. And there is no wrong way. But fulfilling that time, coming in, there's so much to do in our church and there's so much help that's needed. If you want to rock a baby, look at me, I'm just talking about children's ministry.
No, that's
If you want to love on a 2-3-year-old, you could go to our elementary as well. Whatever you feel like you want to do, we will lovingly accept you because I know what it feels like.
Even during the week, it doesn't even have to be during services. We prepare curriculum. We have people that serve at the reception desk, at the front desk of the offices. There are a lot of roles that can happen during the week. Or if you love young adults and now your kids aren't young adults anymore, they're like grown-ups.
Right.
They're like 30. And you want to love on some more teenagers and young adults, you can come serve in our young adult ministry. And
absolutely.
That happens during the week. And then if you lead a small group, we want you to find community. We want you to find your place of belonging.
Right.
Find out what your gifts and your talents and your gifts and how God wants to use them here at the Crossing. And we can help be a part of fulfilling some of that emptiness that you experience. That doesn't take away the fact that it's hard.
Yes.
We don't want to try and wash that away. It's hard.
It is.
But we can walk through it together. We can find joy in it together. You can come to sisterhood studies and build a relationship with other ladies that are going through the same thing. And then you don't feel so alone.
Such a good point. I wasn't trying to plug kids ministry.
Oh, it's okay.
We have a place for everyone.
You're allowed to plug kids ministry as much as you want.
Thank you.
When Allison was here, she talked about the community that she's in of the women. I started following some of their podcasts and whatever. And one of the ladies shared that her mom was in her 80s and was experiencing this what do I do? What do I do now?
Right.
And she spoke it so beautifully. But she basically said, as long as you have breath in your lungs, the Lord has a purpose for you.
Amen.
So in whatever season you're in, young mom with a bunch of kids, empty nester, more mature lady, whatever the season is, the Lord has a purpose.
Yeah.
And take time to figure out what that is.
Right.
Get it, girl.
Right.
There's
it.
no cap on
right.
purpose.
That's
as long as we have
absolutely right.
breath in our lungs, the Lord has
very
a job
true.
for us to do.
That's very true. I love that.
Yeah.
Good job, babe.
Thanks.
She's amazing.
Good job, birthday girl.
Yes.
Okay. So I will briefly say that if you didn't get to join, well, you did or did not come to the Becoming Conference, we do now have the recordings from Becoming Conference on our website. wearecrossing.com. It's right there on the main page right now. And so you can see all of the breakout sessions and the different teachings. So you're invited to watch those. And then I want to say again, you will never be a perfect mother, but you are the perfect mother for your children.
Amen.
We're all on a journey and we want to be on that journey together. And we're so glad you joined us today. So before we say goodbye, I just want to say, because we always want to speak identity to each other, that Diane, I just experience you as so full of joy and very wise and very loving. And so I'm very thankful that you stepped out of your comfort zone to be with us today. I'm so glad.
Not my comfort zone.
Yes. And Tori, I see you. It's very hard to not always say the same words every time because I do see you as so wise, even though you're young, you have a lot of wisdom.
I'm old
but
now.
what I'm thinking, you're old. You're like mature.
Yes.
I'm a grown.
But I really do. I just love the way your brain processes and works and how I love how you look up things
Yes.
and, to help bring better understanding and explanation to the subjects we talk about. So I just love that. I love you. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us and we will see you next time on the Journey of Becoming. Surprise! You thought the podcast was over, but I have one more thing to share. I'm realizing as we finished that recording yesterday that we left out literally the very most important point we could possibly make. So I'm adding this on to the end. John 15:5 says, I am the vine. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Any man who remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit. But apart from me, you can do nothing. The most important part, the most important point I can make about being a mom, being a parent, is that we have got to abide in the vine. We can't parent well if we aren't walking with Jesus. I really don't know how people who don't have Jesus in their heart, I don't know how they survive because life is hard, parenting is hard, and we've got to be abiding in the vine. Apart from him, we can do nothing of value. Of course, we can still get up and brush our teeth in the morning. We can do things, but the things of value, the things that really matter come through him, through the filling and the empowerment of the Holy Spirit. And so, number one, most important parent advice that we can give you is to be connected to Jesus and stay connected to Jesus. And I love you. And now we will see you next time on the Journey of Becoming podcast.